Picture this: a world engulfed in corruption, fraught with wickedness, where every thought and action screams defiance against the divine order. Now, let me ask you, what would you do if you were in Noah's place? If God came to you with a startling command to build an ark in preparation for a deluge unknown to mankind? Some might see this tale as a mere relic of ancient lore, others might feel an unwavering certainty in its truth. What if I told you that this narrative holds layers of meaning that go beyond the literal and reflect profound spiritual truths relevant to every human heart today? You might be curious, perhaps even skeptical. Why should a story like Noah's concern us? Can it still speak to modern ears? Yes, and profoundly so. Through Noah's remarkable obedience, his dogged faith in the face of the unseen, and the monumental task of constructing an ark amidst the mockery of his peers, we uncover truths about faith, perseverance, and divine salvation. And here's a promise to you. Stay with me through this journey, and by the end, I will offer a prayer, a chance for each of us to connect deeply with these truths and seek divine guidance in our own lives. As Hebrews chapter 11 verse 7 profoundly states, by faith Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverent fear constructed an ark for the saving of his household. This scripture captures the essence of what we will explore: the power of a single individual's faith to redefine destiny, not just for himself, but for all who dwell within the ark he built by divine command. So, hold on to your curiosity, let your heart and mind be open, and prepare to delve into a story that transcends time, a story that is both ancient and ever-present in its relevance. In the beginning, we are told in the book of Genesis, our world teemed with life and beauty, yet quickly descended into chaos and corruption. It is here, in Genesis chapters 6 through 9, that we encounter the tale of Noah. Genesis chapter 6. Humanity's wickedness grieved God's heart, and he resolved to wipe out all creation from the face of the earth. But amidst the darkness, one man stood out, Noah. He was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. God made a covenant with Noah and instructed him to build an enormous ark. This ark was no simple vessel. It had to be a gigantic lifeboat, capable of housing Noah, his family, and pairs of every living creature. Dimensions were specified, materials were listed, and instructions for its construction were given with precision. Genesis chapter 7. With the ark complete, the time came for the deluge to commence. The floods opened from the fountains of the deep, and rain descended for 40 days and 40 nights. Everything on dry land that had the breath of life perished, but Noah, his family, and the creatures within the ark were spared. Genesis chapter 8. The waters eventually receded, and after more than a year's journey inside the ark, Noah and his family stepped onto dry ground. A new world awaited them. In thanksgiving, Noah built an altar to the Lord and offered sacrifices. God then blessed Noah and his sons, and established a covenant with him, a promise sealed with the sign of a rainbow in the sky, declaring that never again would all life be destroyed by a flood. Genesis chapter 9. This chapter reiterates God's covenant with Noah and his descendants, emphasizing the sanctity of life and laying down new guidelines for humanity. The rainbow stands as a perpetual reminder of God's promise and faithfulness to preserve life on earth. In the New Testament, we find Noah mentioned in the Epistle to the Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 7 commends Noah's obedience and faith. By faith Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverent fear constructed an ark for the saving of his household. By this he condemned the world and became an heir of the righteousness that comes by faith. Another reference is found in 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 20, because they formerly did not obey, when God's patience waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was being prepared, in which a few, that is, 8 persons, were brought safely through water. Here, Peter highlights the patience of God and the salvation brought through the ark as a parallel to baptism and the saving grace we find through Christ. Thus, the story of Noah unfolds within the broader biblical narrative to reveal profound truths about faith, obedience, judgment, and divine mercy. Through Noah's steadfast faith and God's unfailing promises, we are invited to reflect upon our own lives and the steadfast nature of our Creator. Today, we embark on a narrative that has captivated the minds and hearts of countless generations. It's a tale ensconced in reverent antiquity, yet it speaks volumes to our contemporary era, perhaps because it grapples with the perennial themes of faith, obedience, and divine providence. This is the story of Noah. We begin with the dawn of creation, a time when the earth, freshly spoken into existence, radiated with the purest form of beauty, unmarred by sin or strife. Yet, as we witness in the early chapters of Genesis, this pristine creation did not remain untainted. Humanity, with its gift of free will, chose the path of corruption and wickedness, drifting far from the harmony intended by the Creator. It is within this context of moral decay that we are introduced to Noah, a singular beacon of righteousness amidst a world shrouded in darkness. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Genesis chapter 6 verse 9. In a society spiraling downward into depravity, Noah's life is a testament to the power of steadfast faith and obedience. God, witnessing the pervasive corruption, makes a declarative decision to cleanse the earth through a great flood, a divine reset, if you will. However, the narrative reveals not only God's judgment but also His mercy. Amidst His plans for destruction, He establishes a means of salvation through a covenant with Noah. This divine command is striking in its specificity. Noah is to build an ark, a vessel unlike any other, according to meticulous dimensions and details provided by God Himself. The ark, a symbol of refuge and divine foresight, is to be constructed of cypress wood, its interior and exterior coated with pitch to ensure its seaworthiness. It is to measure 300 cubits in length, 50 cubits in width, and 30 cubits in height, with a roof and an opening an entire cubit below it. There ought to be 3 decks within, accommodating not only Noah's family but also 2 of every living creature, male and female, to preserve the diversity of life. Noah's obedience to this divine command is nothing short of remarkable. In a world likely mocking his adherence to such an arduous, seemingly irrational task, Noah prevails in his unwavering commitment to God's word. The construction of the ark stands as a monument to his faith, a tangible expression of his trust in God's promise. As the ark reaches completion, the clouds gather and the heavens prepare to unleash their torrents. For 40 days and 40 nights, the earth is submerged beneath the deluge, a cataclysm wiping clean the stain of human wickedness. Yet, amidst the vast, tumultuous waters, the ark floats serenely, a sanctuary of hope and life. After the rains cease and the waters gradually recede, the ark comes to rest upon the mountains of Ararat. It is here that we see the dawn of a new beginning, a renaissance of creation underpinned by God's renewed covenant with humanity. Noah and his family, along with the creatures of the earth, emerge to a transformed world, a world awaiting their stewardship and care. In this climactic moment, God establishes his covenant with Noah, symbolized eternally by the rainbow, an arc of colors stretching across the sky, a divine promise etched in the firmament. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth, Genesis chapter 9 verse 11. This pledge underscores not only God's mercy but also his enduring faithfulness. Thus, the narrative of Noah comes to a close, a story that transcends its ancient roots to echo through the corridors of time. It serves as a poignant reminder of the virtues of faith and obedience, the complexities of divine judgment, and the encompassing grace of God's covenant. May we, much like Noah, strive to walk with integrity and faithfulness, trusting in the Creator's wisdom and promises. Imagine yourself in the ancient world, in a time when human beings were just beginning to carve out their civilizations. It is during this epoch that the story of Noah emerges, nestled within the broader narrative of Genesis, the first book of the Bible. Genesis, with its sweeping accounts of creation, mankind's fall from grace, and the early patriarchs, sets the stage for the dramatic and pivotal story of Noah. This tale, found in chapters 6 to 9, is not just a simple narrative of a man constructing an ark. It is a profound account that weaves together themes of judgment, mercy, and redemption. It is essential to understand that the story of Noah did not arise in a vacuum. The ancient Near Eastern world was a cauldron of myth and legend, brimming with stories passed down through generations. Among these, flood myths held a special place, reflecting the region's experiences with natural phenomena and their potent symbolism of renewal and destruction. One cannot help but draw a comparison with the Epic of Gilgamesh, an ancient Mesopotamian text with striking similarities to the biblical flood narrative. In this epic, Utnapishtim survives a great deluge that the gods send to destroy humankind. He builds a boat, takes aboard various creatures, and, like Noah, releases birds to find dry land. The resonances between these accounts suggest that the biblical authors may have been influenced by existing flood traditions, reinterpreting them through the lens of monotheism and divine covenant. The oral tradition played a crucial role in preserving and transmitting the story of Noah. Before the advent of written texts, stories were shared around campfires, in family gatherings, and religious ceremonies. Over time, these tales, imbued with cultural and religious significance, were shaped and reshaped, each retelling honing the narrative. The probable time frame for the origins of Noah's story is difficult to pin down with precision. However, scholars generally place it within the 2nd millennium BCE, a period rich with storytelling and the codification of mythic traditions. It was a time when human memory and oral transmission were the repositories of wisdom and history. As we journey through the story of Noah, it is important to bear in mind this rich historical context. The narrative is not just a standalone tale but a tapestry woven from the threads of ancient myths, cultural exchanges, and the deep human yearning to understand life's mysteries. Noah's story, therefore, is both a product of its time and a timeless account of faith, survival, and divine promise. In the tapestry of biblical history, few figures stand as prominently as Noah. As a man chosen by God amidst an age of rampant corruption and moral decay, Noah's narrative is as much about his personal virtues as it is about the greater divine plan that unfolded through him. Let us delve into the character of Noah and the roles played by his family, notably his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, in the unfolding of this pivotal story. Noah, as presented in Genesis, is a beacon of righteousness in a world spiraling into wickedness. His defining characteristic is his unwavering faith. In a time when humanity's thoughts and deeds were predominantly evil, Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. This favor was not arbitrary. It was a reflection of Noah's righteous walk with God. Genesis chapter 6 verse 9 describes Noah as a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. This description encapsulates the essence of Noah's character: integrity, piety, and a steadfast commitment to divine instruction. The righteousness of Noah is further accentuated by the task he was given: to build an ark of immense proportions, a vessel of salvation amid the impending judgment. This command required not only faith but an extraordinary level of obedience and resilience. Imagine the societal scorn and skepticism Noah must have faced while constructing the ark on dry land, all in anticipation of a deluge that seemed inconceivable to his contemporaries. Yet, Noah's faith did not waver. He did everything just as God commanded him, Genesis chapter 6 verse 22, epitomizing obedience to God's will. Noah's legacy extends far beyond the physical act of constructing the ark. He is remembered as the patriarch who preserved the human race and animal species from annihilation. Post-flood, Noah's life and actions set the stage for humanity's new beginning. The covenant established between God and Noah, symbolized through the rainbow, signifies not merely a promise never to destroy the earth by flood again, but a profound reminder of divine mercy and human responsibility. Turning to Noah's family, we see that each member played a crucial role in the narrative both during and after the flood. Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, were integral to God's plan for repopulating the earth. They were not passive figures in the story. Their actions and their descendants shaped the course of biblical and human history. Shem is often regarded as the progenitor of the Semitic peoples, including the Israelites. His lineage is crucial as it leads to Abraham and, ultimately, to Jesus Christ. This positions Shem as a vital link in the divine promise and the unfolding of God's plan for salvation. Ham, who fathered Canaan among other sons, is a more complex figure. His actions post-flood, which led to Noah's curse upon Canaan, Genesis chapter 9 verses 20 to 27, have been the subject of much interpretation and debate. The curse indicates the grave consequences of moral failings and the impact they can have across generations. Japheth is traditionally seen as the ancestor of various Indo-European peoples. His blessing, Genesis chapter 9 verse 27, to be enlarged, and to dwell in the tents of Shem, suggests a future of expansion and influence, implying a relationship of coexistence and shared destiny between his descendants and those of Shem. Together, these figures not only represent the biological continuation of humanity post-deluge but also embody different paths and destinies that highlight the themes of obedience, blessing, and judgment within the biblical text. As we assimilate the significance of Noah and his family, it becomes clear that their story transcends mere historical account. It is a narrative rich with theological themes and moral lessons that resonate through the fabric of biblical literature. Through Noah, we learn the virtues of faith and obedience to God's will, irrespective of societal pressures or apparent impracticalities. Through his sons, we trace the broader human story of heritage, faithfulness, and the consequences of human actions. Thus, Noah and his family remain enduring symbols in the biblical canon, pillars of a narrative that underscores the profound relationship between divine providence and human agency. Their legacy is an invitation to reflect on our individual and collective roles in the unfolding story of God's creation. The story of Noah, found within the ancient pages of Genesis, is one replete with profound theological concepts. These themes, covenant, faith and obedience, divine judgment and mercy, have resonated through the ages, forming the bedrock of our understanding of the divine narrative. Consider first the concept of the *** covenant**, a solemn promise and agreement made between God and humanity. In the context of Noah, this covenant takes on a deeply significant form. After the waters subsided and the ark came to rest, God made a remarkable promise to Noah and his descendants. The very symbol of this covenant, the rainbow, stood as a testament to God's unwavering commitment to never again destroy all life with a flood. This covenant was not merely a pact, but a divine reassurance of stability, a pledge that the cycles of the earth would continue, unmarred by such cataclysmic wrath. For those who ponder these ancient scriptures, the covenant with Noah represents a foundational stone in the understanding of God's enduring faithfulness and benevolence. Moving to *** faith and obedience **, we encounter the steadfast character of Noah himself. In an age where corruption and violence had pervaded every corner of humanity, Noah stood as a beacon of hope and righteousness. His unwavering faith in God was demonstrated in the most tangible of ways: the construction of the ark, a colossal vessel built at God's command. It was through this act of obedience, one that surely must have seemed absurd to his contemporaries, that Noah manifested his trust in the divine word. His faith was not blind. It was a faith born from a profound relationship with the Creator, a trust that God's wisdom surpassed human understanding. In reflecting on Noah's actions, we see a man who exemplified the interplay of faith and works, showing that true faith often requires tangible, sometimes monumental steps of obedience. The narrative naturally leads us to the themes of *** divine judgment and mercy. The flood, an event of unparalleled devastation, stands as both a testament to the seriousness with which God views human sin and a poignant reminder of his justice. Yet, within this somber story, we also find profound mercy. The survival of Noah, his family, and the multitude of animal species aboard the ark signals not only a fresh beginning but also God's compassion and his desire to preserve life. The post-flood promise, encapsulated in the appearance of the rainbow, is a beautiful assurance of God's merciful nature. This juxtaposition of judgment and mercy provides a holistic view of the divine character, one that upholds justice without forsaking grace. In drawing these threads together, the theological concepts within Noah's story invite us to reflect deeply on our relationship with the divine. The covenant invites us into a promise of stability and faithful companionship with God. The faith and obedience of Noah challenge us to trust and act upon the divine directives in our lives, even when they seem incomprehensible. And the delicate balance of judgment and mercy calls us to remember the seriousness of our actions while embracing the astounding grace that is continually offered. Thus, the narrative of Noah does more than recount an ancient deluge. It serves as an enduring allegory for the spiritual journey of humanity, an invitation to covenant relationship, a call to faith in action, and a vivid reminder of the dual wings of divine justice and mercy. May we, like Noah, find ourselves ready to listen, to act, and to hold fast to the promises that span the heavens in brilliant, unending color. In the realm of theological discourse, to contemplate upon the stories of antiquity, such as that of Noah and the Great Flood, often directs our gaze to the luminaries who have molded our understanding through the ages. Among these revered figures, Augustine, Aquinas, and various modern theologians stand as pillars, casting their profound reflections upon the sacred narrative. Augustine of Hippo, one of the most influential of the early church fathers, examined the tale of Noah with a sharp mind and a reflective heart. He perceived the ark as a symbol of the church, a vessel of salvation amidst the turmoil of a sinful world. To Augustine, Noah represented the righteous who heed God's call, a paradigm of faith and diligence. Through his writings, Augustine unfolded the allegorical layers of the text, urging believers to find not just historical truths, but spiritual guidance in the story. Moving forward through the corridors of history, we encounter Thomas Aquinas, the angelic doctor of the scholastic tradition. Aquinas approached Noah's story with a remarkable blend of reason and faith, emphasizing the coherence between divine revelations and natural law. He saw Noah's obedience as a testament to human cooperation with divine grace. In his Summa Theologica, Aquinas elaborated on the virtues exemplified by Noah, notably fortitude and justice, presenting him as an exemplar of rational piety in the face of divine commands. In the tapestry of modern theology, thinkers continue to unravel the significance of Noah's saga. Karl Barth, a prominent Protestant theologian, interpreted the flood narrative as a profound testimony to God's sovereignty and covenantal faithfulness. For Barth, the waters of the flood were emblematic of both judgment and purification, while Noah prefigured Christ, the ultimate Savior. Aligning contemporary theology with biblical exegesis, Barth argued for a renewed understanding of the narrative in light of God's redemptive plan. Comparative views across the Eastern Orthodox, Catholic, and Protestant traditions further illuminate the multifaceted interpretations of Noah and the flood. The Eastern Orthodox perspective, replete with mystical and symbolic interpretations, often emphasizes the typological aspect of the ark as a foretaste of Christ's saving church. In liturgical chants and iconography, Noah is portrayed as a precursor to the faithful servants of God's redemptive mission. The Catholic tradition, maintaining a balanced view of Scripture and tradition, often mirrors the thoughts of its early theologians while enriching them with the insights of magisterial teachings. Catholic interpretations highlight the covenantal dimensions of the Noah narrative, viewing the rainbow as a sign of God's enduring promise and mercy. The story inspires believers to trust in divine providence and to live in accordance with the natural and moral law God inscribed on creation. Protestant interpretations, diverse and dynamic, reflect a broad spectrum of theological emphases from literal historicism to symbolic readings. Central to many Protestant views is the theme of sola fide, underscored by Noah's faith and righteousness, which separate him from a world ensnared in wickedness. Modern evangelical scholars also delve into archaeological and scientific discourses to reconcile scriptural accounts with empirical evidence, fostering a dialogue between faith and reason. Thus, through the wisdom of Augustine, the rationality of Aquinas, and the insights of modern scholars, the story of Noah continues to be a wellspring of theological reflection. Across the vast expanse of Christian thought, this ancient narrative invites continual rediscovery, inspiring believers to delve deeper into the mysteries of faith and the providence of God. In contemplating the tale of Noah, we stand before one of the most compelling narratives ever woven into the tapestry of human history. Such a tale, resonating through millennia, demands our attention and our reverence, not least for its profound impact on faith and human understanding. Let us first turn our gaze to the traditional view, one that interprets the flood narrative in a literal sense. According to this perspective, the events described in Genesis chapters 6 to 9 are not mere allegory or myth, but actual historical occurrences. The detailed account of Noah's Ark, the precise measurements and the specific instructions provided by God, these elements lend weight to the traditionalists' claim of authenticity. To bolster this perspective, we find various archaeological arguments suggesting a historical large-scale flood. In the ancient Near East, layers of silt and sediment discovered in regions such as Mesopotamia point to catastrophic flooding events. These findings align intriguingly with the biblical timeline. The flood layers found in cities like Ur and Shuruppak are often cited as evidence, hinting at a reality beneath the story. Faith testimonies also play a significant role in preserving the traditional interpretation. For countless generations, believers have drawn strength and conviction from Noah's unwavering obedience and the subsequent preservation of humanity through divine intervention. This steadfast belief endows the narrative with a living vitality, transcending mere historical or scientific validation. Yet, it is not solely a question of historical accuracy. The narrative of the flood holds profound symbolic interpretations within traditional dogma. Noah's Ark becomes a vessel of salvation, representing God's mercy and promise amidst judgment. The deluge, while an act of divine judgment, ultimately serves as a prelude to a renewed covenant between God and mankind, symbolized by the rainbow. Within this interpretation, the flood narrative elevates human understanding of divine justice and mercy. It reminds us that while humanity may falter and fall, there remains a path to redemption and renewal, guided by faith and obedience. The Ark, therefore, also becomes a metaphor for the Church, a refuge for believers amidst the tumultuous seas of life. This traditional view thus weaves together the fabric of historical evidence, faith testimonies, and deep symbolic meanings to present a narrative that speaks to the heart as much as the mind. It challenges us to look beyond the surface and find truths that transcend the material world, rooting our beliefs in the enduring power of faith, obedience, and divine benevolence. Imagine, if you will, a world wherein ancient tales mingle with modern scrutiny, where the timeless questions of faith meet the relentless inquiries of science. This is the realm we enter when we contemplate the story of Noah and the Great Flood, a narrative that has stood resiliently against the tides of time, yet also finds itself besieged by contemporary challenges. First, let us delve into the geological and scientific arguments that rise against the notion of a global flood, a deluge that would have enveloped every peak, every valley, leaving no corner of the world untouched and unseen. Modern science has poked and prodded at the ancient text, asking with due diligence whether such an event could truly leave no trace in our geological records. Scholars of stone and time contend that if a flood of such magnitude had indeed swept across the planet, we would expect to find undeniable evidence within the layers of the Earth's crust. Fossilized remains of marine life at the highest altitudes, a uniform layer of sediment dispersed across the globe, might be among these vestiges. Yet, as we unravel the chronicles of our planet's history, no such universal markers appear. Instead, the patterns we discover speak of numerous local floods, a patchwork of watery catastrophes scattered throughout the epochs. The sedimentary records, while bearing witness to the relentless forces of water, do not align with the notion of a single, all-encompassing flood. This lack of corroborating evidence often leads geologists to surmise that the flood narrative, as depicted in Genesis, may be a tapestry woven from localized deluges rather than a singular global event. Moreover, consider the ark itself, the vessel which was to contain within its wooden walls a pair of every living thing. The logistics of such an endeavor have long captivated and perplexed minds. How could a single structure, even one divinely inspired, house such a multitude of species, sustain them for the duration of the deluge, and maintain their delicate balance? Modern biologists and ecologists raise eyebrows at the feasibility of such a scenario, pointing out the vast diversity of life and the intricate requirements for their survival. Thus, some turn to a different interpretation, proposing that Noah's story might be, in essence, a mythic retelling of a grand but localized flood. This perspective invites us to view the narrative not as an exhaustive account meant to be dissected by the scientific method, but as a profound allegory, a story rich with cultural and spiritual significance. In the ancient Near East, where floodplains and river valleys shaped the lives and imaginations of peoples, catastrophic floods were neither rare nor inconsequential. They were cataclysms that could indeed feel as if the world itself were being washed away. In this context, Noah's flood may echo the memory of an actual event or series of events, tempered by the oral traditions that carried humanity's collective memory forward through the generations. The grandeur of the flood narrative, then, serves to underline crucial theological themes: the righteousness of Noah, the gravity of divine judgment, and the enduring promise of the covenant. To some, these challenges to the traditional view might seem an erosion of faith, but to others, they are seen as an expansion of understanding, a harmonizing of ancient wisdom with modern insight. In the grand scheme, perhaps it is not so much about proving the empirical facts of Noah's flood but about grasping the deeper truths it strives to communicate. Truths that resonate through both the ancient and modern worlds. Thus, as we ponder these challenges, we do not merely cast away the old but strive to comprehend it more fully, engaging with the story of Noah in a dialogue that bridges the temporal, the spiritual, and the natural realms. Whether seen as history or allegory, the narrative continues to speak, its voice an enduring testament to humanity's quest to understand the divine and the mortal, the past and the present, the seen and the unseen. Dear listeners, let us embark on a journey through the realm of comparative religious beliefs, seeking to understand the flood myths that echo across diverse cultures. Our narrative begins in ancient Mesopotamia, where we encounter the Epic of Gilgamesh. This age-old tale, inscribed on clay tablets in cuneiform script, recounts the story of Utnapishtim, a man who bears striking similarities to Noah. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, the gods, displeased with humankind, decide to bring about a great deluge. Yet, one god, Ea, warns Utnapishtim of the impending catastrophe and instructs him to build a vast boat. He is to save his family and pairs of animals, preserving life from the forthcoming destruction. Utnapishtim follows these divine instructions, and as the heavens unleash their fury, his boat withstands the might of the floodwaters. When the storm subsides, the boat comes to rest on a mountaintop, and Utnapishtim releases birds to find dry land. Upon finding it, he and his family disembark, and the gods, realizing the folly of their actions, grant him immortality. This Mesopotamian narrative resonates with the biblical story of Noah in several key aspects: the divine warning, the construction of a boat, the salvation of life, the flood, and the eventual resting on a mountain. These common threads underscore an archetypal tale of divine judgment, human survival, and rebirth that transcends geographical and cultural boundaries. As we broaden our scope, we discover that flood myths are not confined to the Middle East. In Hindu tradition, we find the tale of Manu. According to this belief, a great fish warns Manu of a deluge destined to obliterate humankind. The fish instructs him to build an ark and gather seeds of all plants and one of every animal species. When the waters rise, the fish guides the ark to safety in the Himalayas. Upon the waters' retreat, Manu re-establishes life on Earth. The Hindu flood myth, while unique in its cultural elements and theological significance, mirrors the essential themes of salvation and regeneration found in both the Mesopotamian and biblical stories. Now, let us turn our gaze to the Americas, where among Native American tribes, we encounter yet another tapestry of flood myths. In the mythology of the Pima, a tribe from present-day Arizona, we learn of the Great Spirit, who becomes displeased with the people's wickedness. In response, he sends a flood to cleanse the earth. One man, Suha, is forewarned and constructs a vessel to save himself and his family. Once the floodwaters recede, the world is reborn, and Suha continues humankind's lineage. From the Arctic to the Andes, Native American cultures hold variations of the flood myth. The details may differ. Some involve birds as messengers, others speak of mountains or trees of refuge, but the core narrative remains. The flood serves as a purging force, a divine reset, and the survival of select individuals signifies hope and new beginnings. These cross-cultural flood myths, stretching from Mesopotamia's Epic of Gilgamesh to the Hindu tale of Manu and the numerous Native American legends, illustrate an enduring and universal motif. Each tradition, while imbued with its distinct cultural and theological nuances, conveys a powerful message about humanity's resilience, the sanctity of life, and the cyclical nature of creation and destruction. Through examining these narratives, we uncover profound insights into the human condition, our relationship with the divine, and the shared psychological landscapes that underlie our distinct cultural expressions. These ancient stories, transcending the ages, invite us to reflect on our place in the tapestry of existence and the timeless themes of judgment, survival, and rebirth that continue to shape our understanding of the world and our place within it. Picture, if you will, dear reader, the sweeping landscape of ancient Mesopotamia, a land teeming with both history and myth. It is within this cradle of civilization that we encounter the first of our archaeological discoveries, flood layers deep within the very soil. These strata, which bear silent witness to cataclysmic inundations, provide us with intriguing evidence that there were indeed great floods, as described in the annals of various ancient cultures. Some archaeologists have postulated that these layers, visible beneath the ruins of cities like Ur and Kish, correspond to the biblical narrative of Noah's flood. These sediments reveal a historic event of extraordinary magnitude, where waters once surged and roiled, reshaping the earth and marking a definitive break between epochs. This notion, while not universally accepted, invites contemplation upon how divine tales might intertwine with historical reality. Now, let us journey from the fertile valleys of Mesopotamia to the rugged, awe-inspiring heights of Mount Ararat. Imagine, if you will, the imposing peaks wrapped in a shroud of mist and mystery. Mount Ararat, traditionally cited as the final resting place of Noah's Ark, has beckoned adventurers and scholars alike, stirring the imagination and fueling countless expeditions. Throughout the centuries, numerous expeditions have set forth to seek the remnants of this ancient vessel. Some have claimed sightings of a structure nestled high within the mountain's inaccessible crevices, half buried by the ravages of time and elements. The significance of such potential finds cannot be overstated, for if tangible evidence of the Ark were ever conclusively discovered, it would not only be an archaeological marvel but a profound testament to the veracity of one of the Bible's most enduring sagas. The layers of earth and snow on Ararat hold an enduring allure because they represent more than just geological or historical curiosity. They serve as a metaphor for the layered nature of our own search for meaning and faith. Each expedition to these ancient sites is as much a journey of the soul as it is a pursuit of historical truth. Each layer of sediment uncovered, each artifact unearthed, brings us closer to understanding the depths of the human experience and the timeless truths conveyed through the sacred scriptures. Whether or not one accepts the literal occurrence of Noah's flood in a global sense, these archaeological discoveries offer a bridge between faith and reason. They challenge us to delve deeper into the scriptures, to consider the confluence of divine revelation and human history, and to appreciate the enduring power of these ancient narratives. Thus, as we stand amidst these historical layers and gaze upon the towering form of Mount Ararat, we are reminded that the search for truth is a noble endeavor. It beckons us to explore, to question, and ultimately to reflect upon the profound lessons that stories like that of Noah impart. Lessons of faith, obedience, and the unyielding mercy of a loving Creator. And so, let us embrace the spirit of discovery, cherishing the sacred stories of old while allowing the evidence of the earth to enlighten our understanding. For in doing so, we honor the rich tapestry of our shared heritage and reaffirm our commitment to seeking truth, wherever it may be found. In the grand tapestry of human history, few stories have captured the imagination quite like that of Noah and his ark. As we delve into the academic debates surrounding this ancient narrative, we find ourselves navigating the turbulent waters of scholarly arguments and questions of historical veracity. To begin, consider the reliability of biblical chronology. Scholars have long wrestled with the timelines presented in the Bible, seeking to align them with archaeological and historical evidence. The chronology of the flood, as told in the book of Genesis, presents a timeline that many have scrutinized. Some assert that the dates and events described align neatly with other ancient records, while others argue that the chronology is more symbolic than literal. This debate is fueled by discrepancies in ancient manuscripts and variations in interpretations over centuries. Moreover, the textual integrity of the Noah narrative is another focal point of scholarly examination. The Bible, a compilation of texts written across millennia by various authors, has undergone numerous translations and transcriptions. Each iteration brings the potential for shifts in meaning and emphasis. Textual critics analyze these variations, weighing the authenticity and consistency of the oldest manuscripts available. They probe whether the story of Noah has maintained its original essence or if it has been altered through the sands of time. As we delve further, we must also consider the historical accuracy of Noah's story. Some scholars advocate for a literal interpretation, positing that geological layers and flood myths from various cultures corroborate the biblical account. They highlight findings such as sediment deposits and ancient flood legends from Mesopotamia that bear striking resemblances to the Genesis tale. On the other hand, there are those who argue that the story is more allegorical, mirroring the existential struggles and moral lessons of its time rather than documenting a historical event. They emphasize the metaphorical significance of the flood, interpreting it as a narrative of divine judgment and redemption rather than a purely factual recounting. This intellectual journey through academic debates is not merely an exercise in criticism but an invitation to appreciate the rich, multifaceted nature of the Noah narrative. It challenges us to explore how ancient texts can illuminate our understanding of history, culture, and faith, resonating through the ages and shaping the spiritual heritage of countless generations. In the grand tapestry of human history and faith, few events stand as dramatically miraculous as the story of Noah's flood. It is an account rich with theological depth, brimming with lessons about obedience, divine judgment, and mercy. But for the modern mind, the notion of a global deluge and an immense ark capable of sustaining myriad species of animals can appear as fantastical as fairy tales. Let us first contemplate the miraculous nature of the flood itself. For the ancients, the world was a canvas painted by the hand of the divine. They perceived wonders not merely in the extraordinary but also in the everyday. A sunrise, the birth of a child, the growth of a seed. So when the waters rose, covering the highest mountains and wiping out all terrestrial life, to the ancient faithful, it was a profound act of divine intervention. However, some scholars and skeptics argue whether such an event could be historically and scientifically validated. They question if a flood of such magnitude could occur naturally and whether an ark, regardless of its dimensions, could feasibly house and sustain every kind of animal. They ask us to account for the logistics. How were the animals fed? How did Noah manage the waste? Did each species have enough genetic diversity to repopulate the earth? Here, we must consider the theological implications. The miracle, in essence, is not merely in the physical act but in the divine orchestration of events according to a higher purpose. Divine intervention, by definition, transcends natural laws. In contemplating the ark's sustainability, believers see the hand of God guiding Noah, giving him wisdom and provisions surpassing human capacity. It was not mere survival but a testament to faith and divine favor. Engaging with scientific inquiry, some propose natural explanations, perhaps a colossal regional flood that inspired the biblical narrative, a phenomenon naturally cataclysmic yet confined to a specific geography. They also explore the possibilities of ancient oral traditions passing through generations, each retelling amplifying the scale until it captured the imagination as a story of a worldwide deluge. In the theological realm, miracles are seen as signposts pointing toward the infinite, the omnipotent, and the omniscient nature of God. They are manifestations of His power and His willingness to act within the world He created. For many believers, the Rainbow Covenant is a profound symbol. It is less about historical data and more about a promise, a divine reassurance that despite the vicissitudes of human sinfulness, God's mercy endures. It is also worth reflecting on the symbolism. Water, a force of death and rebirth, mirrors the journey of the soul. The ark, symbolizing the Church or Christ Himself, offers salvation amidst the chaos of sin and judgment. Through this lens, Noah's story transcends its ancient setting and speaks to enduring truths about faith, obedience, and divine compassion. As we navigate this delicate interplay between faith and reason, it is imperative to approach such narratives with both a critical mind and a humble heart. We must recognize the limits of human understanding and be open to the mysteries that lie beyond. In conclusion, whether seen as a historical event or a grand allegory, Noah's flood invites us into a deeper contemplation of divine miracles. It challenges our understanding, draws our imaginations to the divine, and calls us to a faith marked by trust in a sovereign, merciful God. In considering the impact of Noah's story on faith and practice, we must first turn our minds to the myriad ways in which this tale of archaic times continues to resonate so profoundly in the hearts and minds of believers today. One cannot overstate the significance of Noah's unwavering faith in the face of divine instruction, his obedience in building the ark despite the mockery and misunderstanding of his contemporaries, and the subsequent manifestation of God's covenant, a promise that would endure through the ages. Throughout history, there have been numerous inspirational stories of individuals and communities who have found solace, strength, and purpose in the narrative of Noah. Take, for instance, a modest congregation in the heartland of America, whose church had been struck by a devastating flood. Much like Noah, they faced a deluge that seemed insurmountable. Yet, as the waters receded, the faithful recount how they drew upon the story of Noah for courage. They saw their own rebuilding efforts as akin to Noah's, constructing anew what had been swept away, not merely with timber and stone but with faith and fellowship. This modern parallel serves as a poignant reminder that the echoes of ancient stories can still provide guidance and inspiration in our current trials. Similarly, let us not overlook the impact on covenant theology, a central tenet in many Christian traditions. The covenant between God and Noah, marked by the rainbow, symbolizes not just a divine promise but an ongoing relationship between the Creator and humanity. This understanding permeates religious practice, instilling a deep sense of commitment and trust in God's ongoing presence and promises. These theological concepts are often reinforced through worship, where hymns, prayers, and sermons frequently draw upon the imagery and lessons of Noah's covenant. Moreover, the act of worship itself is influenced by the steadfast faith exemplified by Noah. In liturgical traditions, the story of Noah is woven into the fabric of worship through readings, psalms, and even the architectural elements of places of worship, where one might find arches or depictions of the ark as symbols of sanctuary and hope. These elements serve to remind the faithful of the protective and salvific nature of God's covenants. Communities are also moved to acts of collective faith and service, inspired by Noah's story. Charitable endeavors, especially those aimed at environmental stewardship and disaster relief, often find their roots in the examples set by Noah's care for the preservation of creation. In this way, the story of Noah transcends its ancient origins, becoming a foundational narrative that both anchors and propels contemporary acts of faith. To sum up, the story of Noah significantly impacts faith and practice by providing a blueprint for resilience, a cornerstone for covenant theology, and a powerful symbol in worship. It inspires individuals and communities to strive for righteousness, even amidst modern-day challenges, ever mindful of the enduring promises of divine grace and mercy. As we navigate the floods of our own lives, we are thus buoyed by the faith of Noah, ever aiming to embody the trust and obedience that his story so compellingly extols. Now, dear listener, let us embark on a journey through the rich tapestry of cultural representations surrounding the tale of Noah. This story, timeless in its appeal and profound in its implications, has found myriad expressions in art and media over the centuries. Imagine, if you will, the medieval manuscripts. In these ancient volumes, painstakingly crafted by the hands of dedicated monks, the story of Noah comes to life in vivid illuminations. Gold leaf shimmers on the page, reflecting the divine favor bestowed upon Noah and his ark. Each image, each stroke, tells not just a story of survival, but one of faith, obedience, and divine promise. These artistic depictions are more than mere illustrations. They are acts of worship, testaments to the enduring power of the biblical narrative. Moving forward through history, we encounter the grandeur of the Renaissance. Artists like Michelangelo and Raphael infused the story of Noah with their unparalleled skill, capturing the drama and emotion of the flood and the salvation it brought. The Sistine Chapel, with its magnificent frescoes, includes scenes from the deluge, inviting viewers to contemplate the gravity of divine judgment and the hope of redemption. As we step into the modern era, the tale of Noah continues to inspire. Think of the cinematic spectacle, Noah, 2014, directed by Darren Aronofsky. This film, with its sweeping visuals and powerful performances, reimagines the ancient story for a contemporary audience. It takes creative liberties, to be sure, but at its core remains the essence of Noah's journey, a man called by God to save his family and the earth's creatures from impending doom. The film explores themes of survival, ethics, and the human condition, offering a fresh lens through which to view an age-old narrative. Beyond film, the symbolism of the ark and the rainbow permeates literature and contemporary media. The ark, with its image of protection and refuge, often represents a safe harbor in times of crisis. It echoes through the works of authors who seek to convey themes of rescue and salvation. The rainbow, a sign of God's covenant and promise, appears as a symbol of hope and renewal. In stories, poems, and even visual art, the rainbow reminds us of the enduring promise of grace after the storm. Consider the children's books that retell Noah's tale. These narratives, simplified yet powerful, introduce new generations to the archetype of steadfast faith. The colorful illustrations captivate young minds, embedding within them the values of trust and faithfulness. In contemporary media, the story of Noah finds new expressions. Animated series, television dramas, and even digital art reinterpret the tale, ensuring its transmission to diverse audiences. The advancements in technology allow for more immersive experiences, bringing the flood and the Ark to life with unprecedented realism. What all these representations share is a recognition of the story's intrinsic power. Whether depicted in the delicate brushstrokes of medieval art, the grand canvases of the Renaissance, or the dynamic frames of modern cinema, the essence of Noah's narrative remains. It speaks to the human condition, to our fears, our hopes, and our faith. In literature, too, authors weave the symbolism of the Ark and the rainbow into their tales. Novels explore themes of salvation and peril, using Noah's story as a metaphor for existential journeys. Poets play with the imagery of the flood and the rainbow, crafting verses that echo the divine promise of renewal. Even in the abstract realms of contemporary art, the motifs of Noah's Ark and the rainbow persist. Artists experiment with form and color, echoing the themes of refuge and promise. These works, though varied in medium and style, keep the narrative alive in the cultural consciousness. Thus, from the gilded pages of medieval manuscripts to the digital screens of today, the cultural representations of Noah's story are as varied as they are numerous. They remind us that some tales are too significant to remain confined to their origins, that their messages resonate across time and medium, inviting each of us to find our own place within the narrative. And so, dear listener, we find in the artistry across the ages not just depictions of an ancient story, but reflections of our own enduring search for faith, obedience, and the divine promise of hope. As we draw to a close, let us revisit the key points of our journey through the story of Noah. We began with the timeless narrative found in Genesis, detailing Noah's righteousness in a corrupted world, the divine instructions to build an ark, and the great flood that followed. From the wooden beams of the ark to the first rung of the rainbow, Noah's tale is one of unwavering obedience and steadfast faith. Theologically, Noah's story is a profound exploration of humanity's relationship with the divine, illustrating both God's judgment against wickedness and his mercy through covenant. Historically, we placed Noah within the grand tapestry of Genesis, acknowledging the influence of ancient Near Eastern flood myths and the oral traditions that carried his story through the ages. We delved into the lives of significant biblical figures, Noah, his virtuous nature, his family, and how their legacy shaped post-flood humanity. Our exploration touched upon the covenant, a central theological concept, grounding our understanding in God's promise and its enduring implications for faith and obedience. We considered the reflections of influential theologians such as Augustine and Aquinas, and how their interpretations have echoed through the corridors of Christian thought. We acknowledged the traditional views, supported by literal interpretations and archaeological perspectives, and contrasted these with the challenges posed by scientific and geological arguments. Our comparative lens revealed the flood myths of disparate cultures, recognizing both the universal resonances and unique distinctions from the biblical account. We journeyed through the archaeological discoveries that breathe life into the ancient story, from flood layers in Mesopotamia to the much-debated expeditions to Mount Ararat. We highlighted the academic debates that keep the discourse vibrant, examining the reliability of biblical chronology and historical accuracy. In discussing the miraculous aspects, we ventured into the theological and scientific reflections on divine intervention and the very nature of miracles. We saw the impact of Noah's narrative on faith and practice, discovering how this ancient testament continues to inspire individuals and communities towards a covenantal theology and righteous living. We concluded with the rich cultural representations that span from medieval manuscripts to modern cinema, highlighting the enduring symbolism of the Ark and the rainbow. As we reflect on these points, we see the story of Noah not merely as an ancient tale, but as a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of faith and the assurance of divine promise. In times of adversity, Noah's journey from flood to newfound hope reminds us to hold steadfast in our beliefs and trust in the divine guidance. Before we part ways, I encourage you to engage with this content. If you found these insights enriching, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your feedback and suggestions are invaluable as we strive to delve even deeper into the rich, multifaceted world of biblical stories. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the story of Noah. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the story of Noah, a testament to the power of faith and obedience in your divine word. Just as Noah trusted in you and followed your commands, may we too seek to live lives of righteousness and faith. Lord, help us to understand and embrace the lessons of this ancient narrative, recognizing your justice and mercy that are woven throughout. May we find strength in the covenant you made with Noah, and be continually reminded of your promise of grace and protection through the symbol of the rainbow. Guide us to lead lives that honor you and reflect your love in our daily actions. We ask for wisdom to discern your will, courage to act upon it, and hearts that are forever grateful for your unending mercy. In your holy name, we pray. Amen.